Oh boy, okay. So when you buy an ALVA board from us here at ALVA, this is what you get. I put it together. Not put together in China by somebody who lives 1,000 miles from, you know, anywhere and doesn't know even what they're putting together. Try to put some soul into it, because I feel like that's kind of what skateboarding is about. I always enjoy doing this. It's kind of the fun part of skateboarding, is still building a board and adjusting it a little bit, shipping it to somebody who will appreciate it, I guess. You know? We still make all of our boards here in North America. Unfortunately, the trucks, for the most part, everybody's taking them out of the country and they're making them overseas. Everybody. We're trying to change that. We don't make any of our ALVA boards ever. We never will overseas. We just can't. It's just not who we are. And Tony and I agreed about that years ago, that when I started helping them, that we're not going to make boards overseas in China, whatever, because we don't. We want them made here in the USA, and we do our own. We still screen print them by hand with a screen printer, and you know, we just want to build it the way it's always been. And I gotta touch that one up. It's a little bit of, that's good. So that's what we've done. And of course, Tony's still skating at an extremely high level. He's always been just a phenomenal skateboarder in balance, and you know, the ethos of skateboarding, really. And I still skate. I try to skate more. I mean, I'm older, but I still got balance, and it's still the same fun as it was when I was when I first learned the first time to ride boards at 15 or 14 years old. It feels the same. I still get the same rush. So that's what keeps me going with it. Try to do it until you can't. Like, I really liked that Tony Hawk little, I think it was a biography or something, but it's skate till the wheels fall off. I actually got a lot of more respect for Tony Hawk after watching that documentary, because I really feel like he nailed it with that one. And you know, when I was younger, as a kid, I skated with Tony Hawk at Del Mar when he was a little kid. And you know, we were older and bigger and whatever, and I remember, like, the little kids, when we'd skate something over there, were like, "You guys aren't gonna ride this bowl right now, you're gonna go somewhere else." And they'd look at us like, "What?" We're like, "Well, we're riding this pool and you're not welcome, so go over by the half pipe and ride that." So we'd do that kind of stuff to the little kids and kick them out. But you know, you're 19 and they're 12. It's like, well, you know, come on. This is us old guys are here. So anyway, that's kind of how that went. But I got to skate Del Mar quite a bit. I rode a lot of parks. At one time, I remember I added up thought about and wrote down all the skate parks I'd skated and the places. And this was 20 years ago I did this. I had over 200 parks that I'd skated, or places that were real legit skate spots, not just like, you know, some curb somewhere. Because I really don't street skate. I don't like that. I like the feel of surfing. I like the gravity of it and the flow, you know, and just that kind of feeling. I'm never gonna be, you know, a kickflip street rider. It's just not my thing. It's cool for other people, but it's not me. But it's always about surfing. It's always been about that. It's about the flow and the style and the feeling of it. And of course, weightlessness and air. You know, we saw air in the magazine. I think we saw Tony Alva's course, Dog Bowl Air, and within 3 days we were doing air after seeing that magazine. And we had our ramp. We'd fly down the the driveway to the end, we had a little 8-foot wide by 8-foot tall with probably a little teeny bit of vert on it, and I'm riding an ALVA 8.5-inch 1978 deck, which I still have, what's left of it. And after about 3 or 4 tries, I pulled one off, and it's like, okay, that's it. And you just started flying. From there, it's like how it was. So the feeling of that is really cool. You know, all of a sudden you're skating and you're doing an air. Wow, that you're unweighted and you're technically basically flying. Now it's like seems like no big deal, but back then it wasn't done. No one, you know, it was just being conceived. It was a really cool time of skateboarding, in my opinion. I'm so stoked that I got to do it when I got to do it. I know I'll never do a 540, but I don't care. I don't need to. Okay. Off it goes. To another satisfied customer. I hope. I'm sure. This is Lorena. Lorena gets it. I like to write a personal letter to everybody that's a buyer of ALVA, because, you know, they're the core of what we do, is our customers. Write them a little note, throw in a sticker or two, and usually a poster. Let's see, oh yeah, usually do match the sticker to the bottom, and then did some cool posters. This is Tony skating. There's a handmade board that I did for him, and this was a couple years ago, but it's at Kona in Jacksonville, Florida. I haven't ridden. I rode there in 1981. It's the last time I've been there. I want to go again. I want to ride the snake ride. All right, box time. Not them. Okay. Abstract, oh my gosh. Stubby, special colors, signed. Huh. People don't realize what it takes to put stuff together, you know, and make it happen. It's not just like somebody throws this in some box somewhere. It's like, you have to think about it. You got to buy these boxes. You got to buy them in bulk. They cost money, and so, you know, it's a luxury. Certainly, I think skateboarding is a luxury sport. It's not super expensive, thankfully. It's not like, you know, yachting or some other expensive sport. Try going snowboarding or skiing now. Tickets are $300 for the lift for the day. That's ridiculous. We used to just backhill it. and made our own thing. I mean, I grew up in West Michigan where the roots of skateboard or snowboarding really started with snurfing. And it was all done right there. You know, I've been actually doing snowboarding or snurfing before any other sport, before skateboarding, before I was doing that in 1967. I was 7. And every winter it would snow, we'd walk across the street to, we had this water plant place that had these big hills around it, and we'd drag our snurfers out of the garage and walk across the street when the snow was good and ride down the hill and go really fast. And then the snow would melt and it would come spring and we put the board away and we wouldn't think about it until next year. Then, you know, of course, Jake Burton and Tom Sims started getting involved in that. I actually became a rider for Sims. We called them ski boards before. First they were Snurfers, then it was ski boards. It was hard to settle on a name. And then Snurfer was a really good name, but the guy who made it up, he was from Muskegon, Michigan, Sherman Poppin. He didn't want Burton and Sims and anybody to use the term Snurfer, which I heard later he regretted because it kind of put him out of the game, and the other guys just settled on snowboarding finally, and then he kind of got put out of the game. They hung on. They're still around. I'm really good friends with the guy that runs the Snurfer brand again in Muskegon, Michigan, where it started. And they started making those first boards in 1965. And the first people to do it were girls, the guy's daughters. And they rode right around there, and then it spread from Muskegon to Grand Haven to where I lived. And it was West Michigan all the way for the longest time. And then Burton, Sims, all those guys would come to Muskegon, Michigan. They called it the Block House, and they have a contest, a yearly contest, and it was the world champion Snurfer. And both of my friends, they're twins, Tom and Bill Pushaw, they were both winners they were both world champion Snurfers. Bill was 1979 and Tom was 1981. And Tom Sims and Jake Burton came out and they competed, and they saw how good we all were because we'd been doing it for years already. And they became, I think Tom and Bill became the first Burton team riders, really. He made boards for them. I don't remember what they called them, like the Black Widow or something. But they became friends with them. I didn't, but I ended up on Sims' amateur team. But the problem with the difference was Sims boards and Burton boards were wider, therefore slower. The Snurfers were narrow and fast. And the difference was, or the contest was set about speed. It was about, not about turning, not about anything, because no one was really doing much yet. It was hauling butt down the hill, full blast. And Snurfers would smoke these guys. But you could turn a Sims and you could turn a Burton, especially in good snow. And West Michigan was perfect for it because we had these sand dunes that were blown out, and they were like half pipes. So we've been riding half pipes on Sims, original Sims boards and Snurfers and all that since the beginning. So we were doing, you know, air and hand plants and whatever in these little half pipes along the shores of Lake Michigan in the wintertime. And we'd just pick like a 100-yard section of a nice, it was a sand dune, but it was all blown out like a half pipe, and then add 2 feet of nice fresh snow on that. You got a perfect place to ride. So we do that like every day in the winter. So we got good at it. But it was cold, yeah, whatever. But yeah, it goes with the territory. Surfing the Great Lakes is pretty cold too sometimes, but I did it for a long time. But I love to surf there. I do it every year, but I put a limit on my water temp. 50. If it goes under 50, like I might do 48, but that's it. I went in 36 water temp once. That was as cold as I ever went in. But I know guys, and I have friends that surfed it when it was frozen icebergs out there, and they would do it. I'm just like, it's too cold for me. That's why I live in California. Gotta customize the boxes, or they don't work right. There's that. I'm gonna bag it. This stuff in there. Yeah, one time we had, I mean, we're in Grand Haven, which was considered the surfing capital of the Great Lakes, right? We had the Beach Boys came and did a concert in our town. Everybody came. It was like total Surfer City, USA that time, man. It was so rad. We thought it was the coolest thing. It had to be 76 or 77. They did a performance at our high school, you know, football stadium, and we packed that stadium, man. It was really cool. It was like, wow, these, you know, the Beach Boys came to Grand Haven, Michigan, and did a concert. How crazy is that? It's pretty rad. I'm sure we jumped the fence and didn't buy a ticket, though. Nice. Goes all the way to Burbank. Still the authentic, exact same board the way Alva made them in 1977. We've made sure to replicate it exactly the same. It's got old templates, made new templates of original boards from 77, and we still we make the die cut grip, the Super Sparkle grip tape from the same company that made them in 77. They're still making anti-slip safety products, and authentic, same, screen printed, not heat transfers. We don't do heat transfers. That's new school stuff that we're not part of. Okay. We're always still, you know, trying to stay on the cutting edge of our design work and our, you know, things like that. Always trying to make a better product. You know, skateboarding has gone from, it has had advancements in the products, which has allowed us to do different things, better things. You know, of course, the biggest one back then, or well, I think from the beginning, is the urethane wheel as opposed to the original, you know, steel wheels or clay wheels. I luckily never had to ride any of that junk. But I've tried it once or twice, and I thought, man, if that's how it was, I would have bailed and said, this isn't that cool. And I would have never gotten to be a skateboarder if I had to ride steel wheels. But I guess it's good that somebody did it. But I don't know, it wasn't for me. But the urethane wheel, man, that was a game changer. That changed everything and made everything better. Then, of course, trucks. You had Bennett's come out, and Mr. Bennett was, I met him once. He was a industrial engineer by trade. He worked on, had an automotive, high-end European automotive shop up in, I guess it was Huntington or somewhere up there. Anyway, I got to go up there once and meet him and sit in his, he had this huge big warehouse with all these European cars all around him, and in the middle of it he had a 60s tank. They're called tank desks. They're from the kind of nuclear age, I guess you'd call it, made by Steelcase in Michigan, of course. But anyway, he had that in the middle of his warehouse, and that's where he would sit, and he had all on his desk, he had all these kind of replications and things he was tinkering with, and there were a bunch of trucks there too, and of course car parts and stuff like that. But he's the one that made up what we all use today, the geometry for our trucks. And we're just now starting to experiment and go outside the line of that. You got the surf, you know, what are they called? Surf trainer trucks, you know. I've tried riding those. They're fun if you're a surfer, but if you're a skater, they feel weird. They feel like a surfboard because the back truck's real stiff and it's like your fin, but the front truck's super loose, so it's like your surfboard where the nose is all loose. And the surfer guys like it because they train on it, but they're not really stable. You can't ride them in a bowl. They're super wobbly on the front end. And my old friend Jeff Tatum and I tried them one time. You know, we took them to the park where we skated and practiced, and boy, both of us took like 1 or 2 runs and said, these things suck, we're not riding them. You know, we went back to our other trucks. But there's new stuff on the horizon. I've actually been testing and riding some trucks that are being made. They're in the development stage right now. They're super loose like that. They're really turny, and they don't get wheel bite, but they turn tighter than an Indy or an Ace or any